Welcome to the Gridiron segment here on House Call Sports. My name is Sam. That's Gage. That is Justin. And that is Rob. Offseason news is already heating up a lot quicker than I thought it would. And thank God for it, because Lord knows we need content, right? Anyways, this video is brought to you guys by Vivid Seats. It's the most trustworthy and easy to navigate ticketing website. They have a reliable and rewarding tickets, a 100% buyer's guarantee, which means your transaction will be safe and secure. You will get full service, customer care, and be compensated for any canceled events. And it's got the only ticket rewards program around. All that means is that the NBA season is finally getting into high gear. The All-Star weekend sucks, but the end of the season is always entertaining. Get your tickets now at vividseats.com. Go to it now, grab your seats, hit the link in the description, and go sit vividly. Now, very interesting news came out of the Minnesota Vikings camp. It seems like the Vikings are very hesitant to give both Jay Jettas, Justin Jefferson, and Kirk Cousins their respective contracts. Now, for Jay Jettas, for Justin Jefferson, it's simply because the structure, which that's what they said. They want to give that kind of structured money to a quarterback. Well, with Kirk Cousins, they don't want to give him any guaranteed money because, quite frankly, he's coming off an Achilles injury. So everybody here, I want you guys to put your GM caps on. Rob, I'm going to start with you. How should the Vikings handle this situation concerning Justin Jefferson and concerning Kirk Cousins?
Talk about concerning, because when you look at the situations, the annual projected value for Kirk Cousins is $39.3 million. He's 35 years old, going to be 36 years old, coming off an Achilles injury. And I mean, do you want to tie up $40 million into a quarterback that you don't know if they're going to be the same quarterback? I mean, let's just look at what the Daniel Jones situation is. Justin, I apologize. And then we look at Justin Jefferson, who's also coming off an injury, but he's still young. And he's someone that you have to you basically throw a blank check at him, and you do whatever you can. They were rumored to trade up last year's draft for, I forget what I'm blanking on the quarterbacks, but they were rumored to trade up that year. I think the best course of action right now is you throw a blank check at Justin Jefferson and then go get your quarterback in this draft. This draft is very deep at quarterback. I get it's very top heavy. You got your Jaden Daniels, your Caleb Williams, and your Drake May. But Michael Penix is no slouch. JJ McCarthy's no slouch. As well as, if you want to go get a guy later on in the draft, Spencer Rattler, my bad.
No, yeah, absolutely. No, I agree. This is a very QB heavy draft class, and it's got the best of both worlds, right? QBs that are top of the line and QBs that you could develop. So, Gage, I'm going to go to you next. What do you think the Vikings should do? Should they draft a quarterback? What course of action should they take concerning Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins?
Oh, there should be no hot takes here. Rob kind of gave you the outline to it. Justin Jefferson is the best receiver in the league, bar none. And we've seen the last 2 years. There should be no arguments there. He's the guy. If he's on the field and healthy, you have someone that's going to give you over 1,200 yards receiving at minimum. Doesn't care who's throwing him the ball, honestly. And Kurt, yes, he's a good regular season quarterback, has had primetime struggles, and we all highlight that when he's in those moments. Focus on your defense. Don't waste $40 million in cap space on Kirk Cousins at 36-year-old coming up with Achilles there. That being said, there will be a market for Kirk Cousins.
I may also add real quick, Kirk Cousins is 1-4 in postseason success. He hasn't won a playoff game since 2020. How much money do you want to allocate to a guy that is just not a winner? Period.
You make a great point, Rob.
That's the whole thing. There are teams that will have an interest in him, so he'll get paid one way or another. If I'm the Minnesota Vikings organization and I'm making this choice, it's not even a choice. One of them's getting the money. It's Justin Jefferson. Kirk will walk. Kirk will get paid. Might be like a middle team that couldn't trade up. Minnesota has the capital. They can trade if they want to. I don't think they will. They have plenty of holes. Invest in your defense and invest in your offensive line for whoever comes in at quarterback next year. Very easy.
Yeah, that's definitely a very popular thing right now in Minnesota. They're not very, there's a very split within the Minnesota fan base. Some of them really want to keep Kirk Cousins. Some of them really don't think Kirk Cousins is worth the money. And it's definitely a debate that should be had. Justin, I'm going to go with you. How do you think the Vikings can handle this situation?
All right, let me put my GM hat real quick. I'm going to have to snatch my salary cap guy because we're paying both of them in some way. Now, this is what I mean. I'm not giving Kirk Cousins any kind of long-term money. It's not happening. I think I'm going to franchise tag him. He's 36. Franchise tag is going to be about $36 million. It's a 1-year thing. Here's why I'm doing it. I'm doing that. I'm signing Jefferson, long-term deal. I'm going to backload the money after the first year. And here's why I'm doing all of this. That way I can draft the quarterback along with everything else I need. Offensive line, defense. The defensive backs need some serious work in Minnesota. And the reason I'm doing all of this is because if we've noticed something this past season and previous seasons that I've been talking about, if you have a young quarterback that learns under a veteran for at least a year, they play a lot more successful when the team gets turned over to them. Jordan Love is a perfect example of that. Now, I'm not giving this young quarterback 3 years because I'm not paying Kirk 3 years. But 1 year behind Kirk Cousins to learn the offense, to learn how to adjust to the speed of the NFL will do that person a lot better than, let's say, I'm letting Kirk Cousins walk and then I'm putting a young quarterback at risk of having a Carolina Panthers moment. And you've seen how that turned out.
Yeah, and I think that the main difference is that I don't think Brian Flores is going to let this Vikings defense fall off regardless of the talent that is there. So that being said, you want talent there because I don't think the Vikings are content with being middle of the pack anymore. I think they're trying to contend. So, look, bottom line, you got to get a quarterback somehow. And I think you draft a quarterback. I agree with Justin. I think you draft a quarterback in the first round. In the first round or later in the second.
They got the 11th
not in the first round. I think you use that on definitely a defensive back. I think the defensive backs like a corner like Cooper DeJean, Nate Wiggins. I think guys like that are definitely worth the first round pick. Jaden Daniels is available. McKinstry. Oh yeah, exactly. Kool-Aid McKinstry is a great corner as well. I mean, that being said, if Jaden Daniels is or just so happens to be available at that 11th overall pick, do you guys think that the Vikings will take a chance on him and see if he develops under Kirk Cousins?
He doesn't fit their scheme.
I don't know about that.
There's so many holes in Minnesota that needs to get filled that I'm not hitching my wagon to just a quarterback.
And to kind of piggyback off that, they have $23.8 million. I mean, I'm really concerned. You talk about having to like build that roster. They have to absolutely nail this draft and like really nail it, because when you look at the teams that are in the division, they're not getting any worse. The Packers were the youngest team in the playoffs, and they're going to get significantly better because they got now that bravado about them. The Lions are here to stay because they have a team that they built around them. And the Bears, I mean, look at what they did last year, and I think they're only going to get significantly better because they have so much capital, so much money to work with. I mean, they could possibly win the division next year, and then you have Minnesota could be on the outside looking in.
I agree, and quite frankly, the reason why I present Jaden Daniels up is because I think Jaden Daniels is a very intriguing prospect. I think you see flashes of not necessarily Lamar Jackson, but that athleticism is so good. You just cannot deny it. Now, with that being said, I'm not going quarterback in this draft if I'm Minnesota in the first round at all. I'm definitely going with the corner. But it's hard to look at guys like Michael Penix, right? And guys like J.J. McCarthy, guys like, and I'm not very sold on him. And I don't exactly know if a year under Kirk Cousins is going to help them that much, because these are not uber talented corp. They are talented. They're just not uber talented like we see with the Caleb Williams and the Drake Mays and even the Jaden Daniels of the world. Look, like Rob said, this quarterback class is very top heavy, right? And if you're going to draft a quarterback later on in the draft, it's going to be a project more than anything. And with that being said, look, if Jaden Daniels is at 11, I'm tempted. I'm gonna turn the other cheek and go somewhere else. And that's about the end of that. The Vikings are like I said, this is a dilemma for the Vikings, and it's going to be very, very hard to get out of it, considering what is going on in the other on the other teams within this division.
I just can't see Jaden Daniels even dropping to 11 to begin with.
Right.
I'll be honest. There's one quarterback that I could see sliding in this draft at some way. It's Caleb Williams. There's just too much hype and like too much controversy. Not to put that word, but like, what's the term? He's like very loved by some, hated by others.
There's red flags everywhere.
So if there's somebody that I see sliding in this draft, it's Caleb.
But he's not falling no lower than 2. I mean,
he's definitely polarizing. Is Caleb?
There
Williams.
We go. That's the word. Polarizing.
So, but with Caleb Williams,
if they want to go quarterback really that badly at 11, Michael Penix will be there.
Yeah, but he has 4 season-ending injuries. I'm
not. Michael Penix. Look. Michael Penix has, in my opinion, one of the best deep balls in the entire draft. But I feel like you guys saw it in the national championship. Under pressure, I know the offensive line is bad, but he didn't do much under pressure, and that kind of worries me, especially now looking back at the film with all his injuries as well. Not necessarily athletic. In my opinion, I think Michael Penix is just too much of an injury risk, on top of the fact that, the situation he's coming into, I don't know if he's going to maximize it at all either. So that being said, I'm glad you mentioned Caleb Williams, Justin, because we're going to talk about a quarterback that potentially could be his replacement. And Justin Fields has been trending on social media quite simply because he unfollowed the Bears and then he followed 3 Falcons players, which screams, I am leaving the Chicago Bears. I don't know about you guys, but I think it's pretty much set in stone. Justin Fields is out of there. And it's such a shame because it feels like I feel really bad for Justin Fields. I'll go ahead and say it. It's just such a shame that he's so athletic, and you see the flashes of it. You see it. You see how talented he is, but both injuries, I feel like the ability to see the field isn't there. It's just there's so many outliers there in his game that kind of stick out, which is why Chicago's probably not going to stick with him. But Justin, I'll go ahead and start with you. Is this really the end of Justin Fields' tenure in Chicago? And if it is, where do you think is his best landing spot?
First off, I am so tired of hearing about NFL players unfollowing their teams on social media, and that just becomes this big news story. Like, okay, he unfollowed the Chicago Bears, may have taken out his stuff from Chicago. Who cares? We've seen all NFL players do that. Tyreek Hill has done that. A bunch of other players have done that. But to answer the question, is this the end for Justin Fields in Chicago? I don't know, because the only person that knows is Ryan Poles, who is the Bears GM. He literally has every single card that you could think. He literally has a Uno hand full of wild cards because he has the first overall pick in the draft. He's got contract rights over Justin Fields, and he could do with whatever he wants with those. If he wants, he can flip one of them, either one. If he wants to flip the draft pick for more picks, he can do that. If he wants to flip Justin Fields over to a different team in a trade, he can do that. The thing is, we don't know what is going on behind those closed doors, because it's either we keep Justin Fields and we get somebody maybe like a Marvin Harrison Jr., give him that other number 1 wide receiver possible, or we trade Justin Fields, go get our quarterback, and then God only knows what's going to happen there. I don't think that while it's going to make Chicago better, it's not going to lead them to winning a division this year at least. So no matter what they do, they're kind of going to be in a stuck position at least for a year. If they do decide to get rid of Justin Fields, I know one team that can possibly use an athletic quarterback, and they kind of play in New Jersey and kind of had to go through 3 quarterbacks this past season, and they kind of wear blue and white. So if I was Joe Shane, I'd probably be making a call to see if there's some kind of deal that can be made.
I was going to say same thing, except green and white also
But here's the thing: unless you guys change your turf, then you have another situation where this kid tears his ACL. So
Here's the bullshit: we changed the turf this year at MetLife, and still it happened.
Changing turf and removing turf are two very different things. Yeah. So I think you guys got to remove turf either way. Look, as entertaining as Justin Fields would be in the box office that is New York, I feel like that New York culture would just, I don't know about it, because once they see what Justin Fields is, will they really embrace him? I don't think they will. There's something about New York and the New York Giants and what they do to quarterbacks sometimes. It just doesn't. Look, Daniel Jones, I'm not saying Daniel Jones is any talented. I'm just saying is going from Daniel Jones to Justin Fields that much of a leap? Is it going from you're a bad team to a great team? I just don't know. I think Justin Fields is a great, I throw the term great so loosely. I think he's a solid QB and he's a great athlete, but I feel like nowadays you need a great QB and a solid athlete to win. That's what won the Super Bowl the back-to-back years. Rob, I'll go to you. I'm not going to entertain the New England Patriots going out for Justin Fields, but regardless of that, is this the end? Is this the end of Justin Fields in Chicago? And if it is, what do you think is his best landing spot?
I think it is the end. Honestly, what is it that you're going to get out of him? I think you're going to have to pay him in a year anyway, so might as well reset the clock. You got the cap space, you got the draft capital. Just do it. I think personally he goes to the Seattle Seahawks. I just think that is the perfect destination. Look what they were able to do with Geno Smith. And you still have Pete Carroll in some advisory role, so he can definitely influence. And I mean, look at what they got on there. You still have Tyler Lockett, or at least I believe he's still on contract. DK Metcalf, and then Njigba. That is a perfect scenario. And you're gonna be. I mean, look what they were able to do with Geno Smith. I just think that's the perfect. I would have said Atlanta Falcons, but there's just too many what ifs with that team. At least there's something sustainable. In
Seattle's offensive line is much better than Atlanta's.
I agree with you, but at the same time, I feel like the Seattle Seahawks might go in a different direction. I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle drafts a quarterback in this year's upcoming draft, because I think they saw what happened with Geno Smith this year with better weapons than last year. And it's kind of a turn off knowing that you regressed with better weapons. I know Dave Canales left, but a QB coach leaving shouldn't lead to the regression of your quarterback. And unfortunately, people are going to hate me for saying this. Geno did write back. Okay, he did. Now, he didn't write back completely. He didn't write like an essay. He didn't write like a paragraph like he's writing to his girlfriend in high school. But he did write a bit of a sentence saying, hey, I mean, yeah, you're kind of there. I'm kind of there. I'm not. It's a very weird thing with Geno Smith. But Gage, I'm going to go ahead and go to you. Look, Justin Fields could be leaving Chicago, and if he does, and if this is the end, where is his best destination?
I mean, Justin hit most of my points. I hate the whole storyline of what social media does. Who cares? Who cares? That just might be him thinking, I'm just gonna cover my bases. I might be on my way out of Chicago. Because he doesn't know. Justin said no one but Ryan Poles at this juncture has any idea what's going to happen in Chicago. And I'm sure if you ask Ryan Poles, he'll probably give you the answer. Actually, I don't know. I'm looking at all my avenues. I don't know which way I'm going to go yet. Because that's just smart. It's just a smart business. Never let anyone know what you're going to do. Hold all the leverage you have, and they have all of the leverage they have. It's insane what Ryan Poles has done the last 2 years for the capital. Chicago's in a very interesting situation because I personally think they should ride with Justin Fields, draft Marvin Harrison.
Ooh. Okay.
And go from there. That's that's what I think personally. Or trade down and get a Malik Neighbors. Also would be a great pick. And get some little more capital, drafts, trade up a little bit, grab another offensive lineman, and give Justin Fields a little bit more time. Because he's shown flashes. Aside from his athleticism, he's shown flashes of being able to throw the ball.
This is
On
my
the other
one.
end,
This is my one.
on the other end of that coin, the draft is a crapshoot. Rob says it all the time. There's no sure thing in the draft. There's no sure thing. You could just be resetting that clock and having to come back here when Caleb Williams' contract is going to get paid in 4 years. It's a gamble. You know what you have in Justin Fields. His ceiling's high. He's not a bust. You can't call him by any means. Like, you might as well pay the guy a reasonable contract going forward because he's not going to demand a lot of money. He's just not. I don't think he really is.
I wouldn't put it. I wouldn't put it past some of these players these days, man.
Yeah.
I really wouldn't.
He has no accolades or anything to really stand on. He doesn't demand a high market. Will he demand more than like Zach Wilson? Yeah, but it's just. I think it's for everyone's best interest if he stays.
Here's the thing with his market value and also just overall like evaluating Justin Fields. How many years do we give an NFL quarterback where we're banking on potential and flashes and a ceiling? Because, yeah, that's what I'm thinking, like 3 years, maybe 4 at pushing it. He's already past his 4th year. We know more or less what Justin Fields is at this point. And I'm sorry, this is the part where I have to really be critical of him. It's like, I don't think you're going to get any better than what we've seen over the last handful of years. I don't think you're going to all of a sudden become this franchise leading Pro Bowl, all pro caliber quarterback. You have the potential, but you've had the potential since you were coming out of high school, and it just has not translated.
My biggest concern is this, though. Sorry for cutting you off.
No, it's okay.
We've looked at players that have maximized 1 year, and teams are like, what have you done for me lately? Baker Mayfield is about to get paid, and he hasn't done shit up until this year. What did Daniel Jones do in that 1 year with Dable? So that's what I'm saying. Like, if he goes and balls out with the Bears, they're going to have to pay him. It's a tricky situation. I just think that they need to reset the clock because 1 year does not overshadow all the crappy years you gave them.
Yeah.
Well, and another thing is that like Justin Fields, and I'm gonna go to bat for Justin Fields for just a second. Justin Fields hasn't exactly had a roster where you can say, oh, you know, he had this, and this, and he did this with it. What a shame. Like I think Justin Fields has been both a subject of a bad roster, bad coaching, and he really hasn't been dealt a great hand. So I think that while I understand your point, Justin, like we're just betting on flashes. Well, the flashes are the only thing we're going to see when a team is garbage. That's just the reality of the situation. So I think with Justin Fields, I don't think his future's in Chicago. I think Chicago should move on, but it's not necessarily because Justin Fields is bad or terrible. It's mostly because you got to move on, and it's better for them. They're not going to want to pay a QB like Justin Fields, whereas they can take in a rookie contract in Caleb Williams and have 5 years in order to pay him. And in those 5 years, he could turn into a special talent. So I think it's not necessarily a slight on Justin Fields. It's just Justin Fields needs to kind of go to a different scenario. I think Chicago is not the scenario for him. Atlanta, I think I could see that. A lot of people have said Pittsburgh. I'm not so sure about that. But Seattle, I like the idea of Seattle for sure. The only problem I have with Seattle is that when he goes to Seattle, is he the starter? I don't think he is. I think he's sitting behind Geno Smith, and Geno Smith still has 2 years left in his contract. So I think, well, do you pay Justin Fields? What exactly are you doing with Justin Fields in that situation? Right. And I'm one of those people who doesn't think Geno Smith is a long-term situation, but who's to say that Justin Fields is? So
Rob,
a lot of moving parts here.
Do you welcome him in New England?
Yes, I
get him for like a third
Hell
round.
No. Hell no. Why? Hell no. Especially when we have the third overall pick and I can get a better player than him in Jaden Daniels. or Drake May. Why would I see? My biggest thing is we're in a situation where we can't be mortgaging draft stock at all. Like we're in a rebuild. Literally have to replace the wide receiver, the tight end. We've got to get backup running back, all those things. I'm not putting stock into a guy that I may have to pay in a year. No.
I have a question for Rob here. Another question for you, Rob. Since you're saying that you're very high on Jaden Daniels, very obviously.
I'm higher on him than I am on every other quarterback in this class outside of Caleb Williams and Drake May. Yeah, but okay.
I mean, absolutely. And I want you to explain to us what makes you think that Jaden Daniels already is a better player than Justin Fields. Just out of curiosity.
He's a better runner already, and he has about a similar arm. Okay, then I get him on a rookie deal, whereas I don't have to pay him Justin Fields. I'm going to have to pay Justin Fields. We've already seen, I believe, what Justin Fields' ceiling is going to be, and if he gets maybe a tone above, looking at Jaden Daniels, is he that much better than him? I don't think so, and I get him on a rookie deal.
So, but if you're saying that he's that much better, not that much better than Justin Fields, don't you think drafting him would kind of be counterintuitive? Because then you'd be drafting a quarterback that you don't think is that as like Justin Fields and Jaden Daniels are actually very similar, like very, very similar. So I don't know if you're drafting Jaden Daniels, you're getting a Justin Fields on a rookie contract. But if you're saying that Justin Fields' ceiling has already been hit, couldn't you say that could be the case, the exact same case for Jaden Daniels?
Not necessarily, because when the Patriots have maximized their coaching staff as of late,
right?
And he was never given that hand. So Justin Fields could have stunted his growth because of being in that situation. Right. And I think that now, look, I may be just a homer, but the staff that we have, I have the history that backs it, that these guys are going to know what the hell they're doing. And if you bring in a quarterback, they're going to maximize it. I mean, Justin Fields could be something special. The problem is we're now in year 4. Whereas with Jaden Daniels, I'll be year 1.
I completely get where Rob is coming from here. And if you're a Patriots fan, it's going to be a very interesting offseason as well as if you're a Chicago Bears fan. So I came across this interesting quote here. It's from Chris Sims. Now, I'm not saying Chris Sims is some genie or some guru by any means, but Chris Sims had an interesting point to say about Jalen Hurts, a QB. He says, I respect a lot about Jalen Hurts, but I think Jalen Hurts is also like the most overrated player in football. He went on to say that I take a lot of crap about the comment, but he plays quarterback for a team that's an all-star team. They have the best O-line in football. It's not close. I just think if you put some other quarterback in Philly, you put Kyler Murray in there, you'd say, damn, Kyler's amazing. Is he the MVP of football? And he ends the quote there. Now, this was brought to my attention, and I thought it'd be a great time to put all 3 of you on the hot seat. Okay, so I'm going to ask this question, and you guys give me a straight answer and explanation. Is Chris Sims right about Jalen Hurts being the most overrated player in football? And if he isn't, who do you guys think is? And I'll go with Gage to start here.
Oh, man. Can we throw it to Justin or Rob first?
No, we're going to you, Gage. No, don't worry, Justin. You're next. It's okay.
Okay, this is going to sound awful. God. No. Is Jalen Hurts a little bit overrated? Yeah. Is he the most overrated player? No. Not even close. And if I had to pick someone, probably the most overrated player currently is Aaron Rodgers.
Ooh. Explain.
What has he done in the last 3 years? Like, what? And he's won one Super Bowl. He's won 1 Super Bowl. He hasn't done dick in like a decade. Yes, he has an MVP. Kidding. Yes, he has great numbers, but like people like get on their knees at that man. Like Woody Johnson's one of them, and the Jets coaching staff is another. But like, dog, what did Rob said about our last conversation? What have you done for me lately? And it's not fucking shit, man. And yes, that is my quarterback. And
Oh man, it's you know what's funny is that the New York Jets, after everything that happened this year, I think the funniest part is when I saw on that article from The Athletic that the Jets genuinely thought if Aaron Rodgers was healthy that none of their problems would have happened. That is like intense amounts of glazing that we have never seen before. That's like Rob and Tom Brady. That's like me and Patrick Mahomes. It's absolutely terrible. But with that being said, Justin,
like that and Victor Wembanyama.
It's crazy. Terrible, man. Unbelievable. Justin, you're on the hot seat, buddy. Is Chris Sims right about Jalen Hurts? And if he isn't, who is the most overrated player in football?
Chris Sims is wrong. Hurts, as much as I hate him for being a Philadelphia Eagle, he is not the most overrated player in the NFL. The most overrated player in the NFL, in my opinion, I should say this, is my namesake, Justin Herbert, in my opinion. And that is because he is the Chargers version. Well, actually, he's the reincarnation of Phillip Rivers. He is a stat pattern. He gets the numbers needed. He'll get you like those Pro Bowl, all-pro stat lines with yards, touchdowns, keeps his interceptions low. But when you need him to win a game for you, he's not going to be the one to do it. And if somehow the Chargers make the playoffs, I don't see him going far. And it's just history repeating itself with the Chargers as a organization. You have a quarterback with all of this talent, but you're still not winning. And you can't even use the excuse of having weapons because he literally has weapons all around him.
Okay, I was not gonna push back on any of your claims, but I'm gonna do a little bit on this one. I feel like Justin Herbert, I agree that he's a tad bit overrated. But with that being said, I feel like Justin Herbert has been dealt a very, very, very terrible hand.
Brandon Staley.
You have weapons everywhere, but your coaching was awful. Okay.
Your coaching was terrible. His weapons were great, and he used the weapons to become and put up these stats that you're talking about, Justin. But then the defense would give up 48 points, and it's like, what are you even gonna do about that? He got out-dueled by Tua Tagovailoa. Okay, I love Tua with my heart and soul. Is he a better quarterback than Justin Herbert? Absolutely the frick not. So look, I love Tua, and I love you, Justin. I just don't think that Justin Herbert is that overrated to the point where he's the most overrated player in football. That's the last, last time.
Let's wait till the end of this season, because if there's no improvement with the Chargers,
I agree.
I really want to take a guess at this,
save it for next year, and see what happens.
Every QB in the NFL is overrated, actually, according to Rob. So I'm curious to see.
I have a specific QB. It's either one or two. I think it's going to be.
I'm curious to hear what Rob, is Chris Sims right? Or is there somebody else that you have in mind for most overrated player in football?
He's so fucking wrong. I mean, at one point during the Super Bowl, you go look at that Super Bowl, you close your eyes. Who was the best quarterback that day?
It
was
Jalen Hurts.
It was Jalen Hurts. Period.
It looked like it.
Not looked at. If he doesn't fumble the football, we have another discussion about this whole GOAT shit. But
I know where this is going.
I'm not even going that direction because I'm not going to do that. That's stupid. But the most overrated football player or quarterback is Dak Prescott. It's like you have.
That was my number two.
I was wrong.
That's why I was pointing. That's why I was pointing at you. I was like, "Oh, this guy's going straight for the jug." I mean, look, you have all this talent on
Rob,
your
I thought you were going Trevor Lawrence. I really thought you were going Trevor Lawrence.
Well, I forgot about him. I forgot about Goldilocks. You know what? I take it back. No, it is Trevor Lawrence. It is Trevor Lawrence. No. Thank you for reminding me. You're in the AFC South, which, by the way, you just need a fucking Colts to win, and you can't even beat a rookie CJ Stroud. What are we doing here? Thank you for reminding me. Goldilocks, I haven't forgot about you now. Thank you. No, so, you're supposed to be transcendental, and you've done everything but transcendental. You're shit.
Transcendental is a crazy word. I love that.
You know what's even more funny? I think there's a chance they finish last in their division this year. Dead last.
Let's see. I mean, there's that. That's not that far off. Let's see. We got the Colts,
Go look what the Colts did.
the Colts, the Texans. We got the Titans. I don't know. I feel like the Jaguars will be back. I think the Jags will be back, man. I think they will. Look, with that being said, I completely agree with you. Generational talents don't miss the playoffs with their teams. So, yes, I completely agree. I'm going to go a different route. You guys have all said quarterbacks, and I completely agree with you. I'm going to go with Dak Prescott's teammate, who seems to chat a lot. Micah Parsons. Look, I get it. Micah Parsons is a great pass rusher. It seems like he's only a great pass rusher with mid or terrible offensive lines. I have never seen him in a big game when they need Micah Parsons to take over the game, to really make his presence felt. Excuse me. I have never seen Micah Parsons actually show up. So damn it, Micah Parsons, take your Trump hat off. For God's sake, get a sack in a playoff game. Get a sack against a good team, and I promise you, you will not get this smoke, okay? I'm completely sick and tired of Micah Parsons always chatting at some nobody's mention, always chatting on what another player says. Bart Scott said it best. You need to take a leadership class, brother. There is no time for you at the linebacker position, which is supposed to be a tough guy's position, for you to constantly cry and moan about what another player has to say, or what another player has to say about your quarterback, who is overrated, by the way. It's utterly ridiculous.
I really don't think that active players should have podcasts. Just saying.
Well, it is kind of fun, though.
It is fun, but you open yourself to criticism.
Kelsey brothers in the Heights.
In the Heights is pretty
funny.
The
Kelceys are the exception. There are lots of
people. The Kelceys are good.
They're a good watch. I enjoy watching.
I guess when you have Super Bowl wins, maybe you can, but the Cowboys haven't done shit.
Also, other than that, to be fair, the Kelsey brothers have very low social media presence.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just gonna respond to Rob because I know he expected me to say Dak Prescott being overrated, and it's very true. But let's be honest, the Cowboys are just the most overrated team overall, because every year it goes to the same thing. This is our year, and then you choke in the playoffs.
I think it's better for the NFL for the Cowboys to be good, and here's why. I think the Cowboys
that's a right take.
Here's why. Because if the Cowboys are good, it gives their fan base hope. And there's nothing more satisfying than seeing hope from a fan base get absolutely crushed. Okay? Believe me, believe everybody here, there's nothing better than seeing a fan base's hope get absolutely crushed and absolutely murdered. And let me tell you, as a Dolphins fan, that's been my life. All right? So it's just a shame. I'm not gonna. I just made myself really, really sad right now. My God,
right. It is good for the NFL when they're a better team. Just like it's better for the NFL. I can't believe it's coming out of my mouth when the Patriots are a good team. It's just better.
I don't know what you're talking about. No, it's not. I'm playing it. Look. I think it was better because Tom Brady. Because quite frankly, Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, he had aura, bro. He had when Tom Brady was in the Super Bowl, it felt like the Super Bowl. Does that make sense? It really does. It's the same way with Patrick Mahomes being in the Super Bowl nowadays. It felt like a Super Bowl when Patrick Mahomes was in there.
I think respectfully, I disagree. I think I would agree with the Cowboys' take. I think with the Patriots, it's just there's too for us to be good again. It's a long way away, and people have been celebrating that we've been bad. So I don't agree with that.
Yeah, it's celebrating.
It's the same thing with the Cowboys though.
Because people hate you so bad that they have to prey on your downfall and celebrate it when it happens.
First of all,
as a Jets fan who has also done those things, it's better for the NFL when you guys are competitive. It's just flat out.
It's going to be a while before that happens.
I agree. It's time for you to rebuild after 25 years. But I'm just saying,
second rebuild because we
from an unbiased perspective, it's better for monetary wise for the NFL.
God forbid they don't go. God forbid, 20 plus years of success. My goodness, it's just such a shame that we have to go through 6 years of just terrible football or mediocre football, as if other franchises haven't been going through a very similar thing. Now, I actually have another question before we wrap this thing up. This is a bit of an impromptu question, but I think this is very important. I believe a couple of days ago, or maybe today, the franchise tag opened up. So real quick, I want you guys to name a player. Exactly. Name a player that you guys think should be franchise tagged that will not get franchise tagged by their respective teams. It's a very impromptu, so if you guys need to think about it, you guys very much can. I already have mine. Christian Wilkins. Christian Wilkins is one of the best defensive tackles in the entire NFL. And for whatever reason, he just doesn't get the respect from his own team. And Zach Sealer got an extension before him, and Zach Sealer is a good player. But Christian Wilkins is a top 5 defensive tackle in the league, in my opinion. And not paying him top dollar is asking for your defense to hit rock bottom. So with that being said, I don't know if any of you guys are ready. I'm just going to pick one of you guys anyway because I'm an absolute loser. Justin, I'm going to go to you. Who do you think should get that franchise tag that you probably think will not get it at all?
Justin Matabuke out of Baltimore.
Ooh, okay.
Because I think that the franchise tag for defensive linemen, especially interior defensive linemen, is extremely low. And I think it just makes more financial sense for Baltimore to do that. But I know they're not going to do it. They're probably going to try to sign him to a long term. And if it wasn't for that, my answer would have been L'Jarius Sneed off of the Kansas City Chiefs. So it's one of those.
They don't have the money. They're going to be trying to. I don't know how they're going to maneuver the cap, the Chiefs, because they're rumored to be bringing back Chris Jones.
Is that your pick, Rob? Chris Jones?
No. My pick is if we're gonna go with the whole trend, I'm gonna go Michael Onwenu on the Patriots. Why would you want to have to address both tackle positions? So why just get your guy that's a right tackle? He's one of the best right tackles in football, and tag him. You don't need to tag him to make him play on that. You tag him so you can figure out what you're gonna have to pay him. I don't want him hitting the open market. Tag him but here's the thing though. It's been rumored that he's out of our price range, which honestly, with how deep this draft is, I can see it. But I don't want 2 rookie freaking tackles, and I think that's just what's going to happen.
All right, Gage, and you're the last one up. Franchise tag, who's getting it? Who do you think is not going to get it that most likely should?
Who's getting it for sure is Josh Jacobs in Las Vegas. I don't think after the debacle last year that they come to an agreement. And if Devontae Adams is on your team, he's your best offensive player. Not even close. So I don't think they come to an agreement. I do think he gets franchise tagged. I don't see them going any other way. Someone that should get franchise tagged, but that isn't, is Mike Evans.
Interesting. Mike Evans. He's going to be out there. He's going to be out in the market. He's going to be very popular after the season that he had.
He's going to be very popular.
I think the only reason he doesn't get franchise tags is they're going to give it to Antoine Winfield.
Antoine Winfield. That's exactly what I was going to go into. I think they keep Antoine Winfield.
They're like $7 million apart right now, according to some of the rumors.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
And Antoine Winfield just finished having a phenomenal season. The same thing can be said. The same thing can be said about Mike Evans. Go ahead, Gage.
So in any other year, yes, Mike Evans is getting it, but you're paying Baker now. You're gonna pay Baker if you're Tampa Bay, and you're gonna pay Antoine Winfield one way or another. So I don't think it's gonna be this year. So you're gonna have to tag him. That leaves Mike Evans over 30 years old as the odd man out. And you still have Chris Godwin. You still have receivers. You'll be fine. So I think he demands a lot more money in the market than the Tampa Bay is willing to match.
Here's a question, and this just came to mind, and I think I saw a tweet about this. Who do you guys think the Vikings would prefer at this stage? Do you guys think of Baker Mayfield or Kirk Cousins?
Baker. Baker. Not even gonna hesitate. Baker.
I think Baker, because he's going to cost like $10 million less, and he doesn't have the injury history.
And also, Baker has playoff wins. He's also grown up a lot, so I guess I will say Baker.
Nah, I'm saying this because you got to realize this, guys. Justin Jefferson is one of those guys who really likes playing with Kirk Cousins. And why wouldn't he be, okay? He's had his career years with Kirk Cousins. So getting rid of Kirk, going against what your star wide receiver wants is a very risky decision.
Give him 5 games with Baker Mayfield.
I mean, Baker. we'll see, man. But Kirk Cousins, there's no denying that Kirk Cousins with Justin Jefferson was an electrifying duo. I know Kirk Cousins definitely had his flaws, and Kirk Cousins definitely, the playoff wins are definitely something that you might want. But I got to reiterate to you guys, Kevin O'Connell in his first year with Kirk Cousins made it work very well, and that offense was really, really damn good. And the only thing holding them back was that defense, which ended up being the downfall. I don't think in that playoff game with against the New York Giants that Kirk Cousins was the reason they lost. I definitely think it was the defense. So with that being said, I don't know. I wasn't very sure about,
It's nice and all, but you're getting a quarterback that, I mean, you're going to throw off of a recently torn Achilles. Who knows? Who's going to be
I absolutely agree. Yeah, it's very, very risky for sure, and you definitely would have to rely
on. This is also
on
coming from the number one receiver in the league that you need to pay.
Right. So like if you need to pay him and he wants a particular quarterback, he wants to win too, and I feel like he can win. He knows he can win with Kirk. Can you win with Baker? I think you can. It's again, the situation in Minnesota is very, very, very tight. It's going to be very interesting to see what they do this offseason. We will be here to cover it on every sense of the word. That is going to do it for us here on the Gridiron segments here on House Call Sports. That has been Gage. That has been Robin. That has been Justin. I am Sammy Hot Takes, and we're out of here. Peace.
And Ferrari, which, by the way, such a sexy car.